Hello, and welcome to Lopes on Movies. My name is Joey Lopes, and today I am joined by somebody that we haven't seen in quite a long time.
Keeps happening.
Mark.
Hello.
How you doing, Mark?
Doing okay. I moved, so that
Oh,
was
you
part
moved.
of why I was getting settled in back up here in New York.
Right. You actually went back up there
Yeah.
after coming back down here for a little while after
Crazy.
the coronavirus hit. So what's it
Yep.
like up there these days?
Empty. It's weird. Although there's still
Yeah.
a lot of, I guess there's a lot of people walking around, but it's odd.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I've seen like pictures and stuff of like Times Square and places like that where there's just
Yeah.
like nobody around.
Every
It's, yeah.
weekend, it's just a crowd of people out in the streets getting food. It's like a festival ground sort of thing. It's really strange. All the restaurants serve out of their front doors.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine. I haven't been to New York in a little while, but
it's
I
bizarre.
I have to imagine it's not even remotely familiar.
It's strangely familiar, in a way.
Well, I think it's about time we get down to business here, Mark. We're here to talk about two things today.
Movies.
One little brief bit of movie news, and then a movie that both of us watched that
Yep.
I think we're gonna have a good time talking about. So
Yeah.
first, let's just start with the news, because the news is the easy one. So there's really not too much going on in the world of movies right now for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you'll see some headline that makes you go, "Oh, interesting." And at this point, this is probably like the third time we've brought this up, because what can I say? Christopher Nolan's Tenet, the big blockbuster movie release of the summer, has been delayed again. This time indefinitely. So it was actually this is the third time that it's been delayed. I think it was originally scheduled to come out in the beginning of July, then it was the end of July, and then it was sometime in August, and now it's whenever they can.
Yeah, I mean, who
what-
would it be playing to? None of the
Exactly,
theaters are going to
yeah.
be open.
Yeah, so the Hollywood Reporter is reporting on this, and they said that it's no longer expected to get a conventional release and is likely to open first in overseas markets, which makes sense. I think the COVID situation is particularly bad in the major markets of America.
Yeah.
Like New York and California are not opening movie theaters at all. Apparently, in some states, or most states at this point, the theaters are allowed to be open, but I have to imagine that not very many
Who
people are
would
going
do
to the
it?
movies right
Yeah.
now.
And who would
Um,
go? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely been a struggle for Tenet, because as we've mentioned before on this show, and we know Christopher Nolan, he's not the kind of guy who's going to compromise and say that we're going to do a digital release. He's not
He doesn't
spending
seem like he would like that at all.
absolutely not. He's not spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on those IMAX cameras so that you can watch it, watch it on your TV.
I
Or
mean,
watch it on your phone.
nowadays it's not as bad. I mean, yes, phone, different story, but on a 70-inch, a lot of people have pretty good systems at home.
It's true. That's what I always say now. Or people's houses are getting closer and closer to inching towards the something sort of resembling the theatrical experience, but it's not quite the same. I mean, you're not with
mean-
an audience. You're not like, it's not the biggest screen in the world. You probably don't have a great sound system like a movie theater does.
Maybe it's fair to ask. I mean, how do you usually watch movies for this? You have a home theater, but you watch it on
Yes.
those? Okay,
Yes,
I
yeah,
watch
I
it
do,
on my
yeah.
computer. I mean, like,
Mhm.
I try to make sure it's at least somewhat quiet, but I've got a nice monitor and then two less
Mhm.
nice monitors, and turn off the side stuff and then just
Mm-hmm.
try to focus in. Got a decent set of headphones and an amp,
Mhm.
but I don't have anything like home theater here.
Mhm.
I just make do with what I can.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what you got to do. I mean, when I was in college, that was probably when I was watching the most movies. Actually, as a brief aside, I was looking through my my old Letterboxd account, which I
Mhm.
still use. If you're not familiar with what Letterboxd is, it's a website where you can kind of just like log your film watching. So
Yeah.
like, anytime you watch a movie, you can rate it, log that you watched it. And I was participating in this ever since like 2012. So what I can do is I can look at my each year, I can see how many movies I logged in that year. And while I was in college, every year except for senior year, I watched like around 100 movies a year.
Mhm.
And then after that, that number started dwindling dramatically,
Oh no.
and that made me really sad because like back in college, I was watching so many movies. It was so great. It was so great. Every day, I was seeing like a new like great film from a great director. So much like great learning going on. But of course, I
Mm-hmm.
was watching most of those on like my laptop or like on a
Yeah.
small TV in my apartment,
So
like
now you
whatever I
have a
had.
much, yeah.
I have
You
a
have a
much better
much improved
situation now.
system. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't watch as many movies, and that made me kind of upset. So actually, for the past couple weeks, I've been trying to watch a lot more movies. Like last week, I watched like 5 movies or something like that,
Dang.
something
Yeah, I'm
crazy.
nowhere close.
Um,
I haven't
yeah,
watched many movies at all outside of this.
yeah, I'm trying to get back into it because I don't know what
Actually,
it is.
I've watched a couple of things since last time we talked,
Mhm.
but nothing of major note, I would say.
Yeah, I think it was just like after Ennio Morricone passed away, and I like was like kind of revisiting some of his movies. I was just reminded of like how much I really love like great movies and how
Mm-hmm.
incredible like a good movie can be. It's like it really is like an experience like no other.
There's
And
something else
you know,
about movies that just isn't in other mediums. Probably because they're short form,
yeah,
where
no,
you're
that's a
just
huge
kind of
part of it.
like
Yeah,
sucked in for that short amount of time, and you get one story.
yeah, it's
It's
like
nice.
magic. You know, it's like
Yeah.
magic. So I decided to kind of try to watch a couple movies. So we should have actually a decent amount of stuff to talk about for the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're gonna talk about something that you wanted to watch, Mark.
Yeah. And literally the only reason I wanted to watch this is because I kept seeing that amazing poster all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just wanted to know what this whole movie was about.
yeah, I think so the movie we're going to be talking about is a movie called House. It's a Japanese horror movie from
Yeah.
1977. And it's kind of like a cult classic, I guess. It's well known in like online film circles.
Yeah.
Like I always see people talking about it, and I see that poster every now and then. Like again
Oh
on
yeah.
Letterboxd, for example, when you can see like movies that people are watching, 'cause it's kind of like a social media platform. I always
Mhm.
see every once in a while I see that poster, and it's like, what is this? This
It's
is
so I don't know how to describe it. It's best to just look up like House 1977, but it it's an almost Cheshire Cat-esque face, but much more
yeah,
demonic.
yes, it's exactly what it is. Actually, it's like
And
right on the money.
orange,
Yeah.
strikingly orange.
Yeah, just like slaps you in the face, and it's hard to ignore anytime it comes up.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
now that I've watched it, it makes a lot of sense. And there's one movie in particular that I think you might be thinking of, since
Mhm.
we both know a lot of the same stuff.
Mhm.
Um, that I think this movie is very in the vein of.
Mhm. Oh, I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
we're gonna have similar thoughts on this.
it's
All right,
pretty great.
so how about we just like do a little brief rundown of what's going on in House
Yeah,
to kind of give people an idea. So
yeah.
the basic premise of the movie is a schoolgirl and 6 of her classmates travel to her aunt's country home, which turns out to be haunted.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nice one sentence tagline from IMDb that you read that and you get a certain sense for what kind of movie this is. Doesn't really do it justice.
There's a couple of like good things in the backstory of this movie that I was reading up on
Mhm,
after I watched it today.
mhm,
Um, so apparently the film company Toho
mhm.
approached the director Obayashi with the suggestion to make a film like Jaws. This is supposedly a Jaws-esque movie. Um, but that
Oh,
makes no sense.
oh.
But so
What you're
from
saying
what
is
I'm
Toho didn't get what they paid for.
no, but they got something. Well, later on. So this is just off of Wikipedia mostly, but the gist of it is he kind of almost co-wrote this with his daughter because he wanted a
Hmm.
weird angle on things and stuff that was out of the norm of adult life. And there's one
Hmm.
line in here that just stands out because this took like 2 years to get made because nobody wanted to direct the script that he wrote.
Okay.
He had to keep pushing it to get it greenlit, and eventually they were just like, "You do it." And what the line is Obayashi recalled that his producer told him that Toho was tired of losing money on comprehensible films and were ready to let Obayashi direct the house script, which they felt was incomprehensible. Just kind of it's very fitting.
I don't even know like where to begin with that. So the studio was sick of comprehensible movies.
They thought that the comprehensibility of the movies that they were making was, maybe it was like, we're making too much obvious stuff. We need something out of left field. And honestly,
Man, I love it.
the core of this movie, the very middle part of it, what we said, it doesn't sound like a weird concept, because it isn't. It's kind of almost a classic slasher framework.
Yeah, a bunch of people go on vacation to a, not a cabin in the
Remote
woods in this case.
location.
It's a haunted house.
It's pretty much it's like
I guess in a sense it is kind of a cabin in the woods.
It's a big mansion in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the way it's shot, the way it's presented, the special effects, the characters, everything is so weird, but it's very, very lovable.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I was, where do you even begin?
I don't know.
Okay, how about we begin by trying to come up with some analogs to other movies that might give a kind of an idea.
I also
of what
wanted
you're getting into.
But one thing to note is that I don't think I've ever seen a movie, not even edited, but just chopped, like the way this movie does framing, especially even from the very get-go. The only like touchstone I could think of is like Satoshi Kon sometimes does stuff like that, but not even this weird. Like there's a freeze frame towards the beginning of the movie where our main character, I think it's Gorgeous. There's two main like Gorgeous is the main character, and then
Fantasy is the other one.
Fantasy is kind of like the if there was a second main character, she would.
You love
be
those names, right? Too, like those are the characters.
They all
names.
go by all the main characters go by a nickname. They're like this cool, like they're like a gang of the cool girls in a high school.
And all the nicknames kind of reflect something about their personality.
Yeah, they gave them very like on the nose nicknames each. But there's a freeze frame at the start of the movie where the main push like towards this whole thing is that Gorgeous was going to go on a vacation with her father, and right before that happens, he introduces her new stepmom, which she just hates the idea of in the first, like from the go.
Yes, and
she rushes out of the room and tosses the scarf that her new stepmom attempted to give her, and there's a freeze frame on her running, and there's this like windowed mirror screen. I don't know how to describe it other than like there's like not a screen door, but like she tosses it into the frame into like this door frame, and she freezes as she's running, and it just shows the scarf fall in the same frame, and it's so weird.
Yeah, I think
tons of things like that.
That's kind of the house experience that I think is kind of hard to explain just talking about it, because again, like the premise is nothing crazy, but it's all of these. There's so many little things that contribute to the effect that the movie has.
What is it?
It's like it's an accumulation of like a ton of strange choices.
Like hallucinogenic.
Yeah,
the sound design from the very start.
Oh,
I could
God,
only imagine
so
watching
strange.
this. It without like if you knew Japanese and watched this, it's like everything is happening in the same channel, and everything, like at the very start they're just two characters walking in a hallway, but there's like 5 different sound channels of just random background conversations and things going on, like people playing some sport in the background, and it's all stepping on each other. I was like, wait, did I leave something running in the back? Like I didn't know if it was all the movie. And there's so many different odd things like that happen.
I mean,
from like it uses the frame rate like that at occasion.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, the wonderful thing though is like there's really like you never know what's going to happen next. I think that's kind of the effect that the movie has, where there's
completely unpredictable. Yeah,
completely unpredictable, and you're always any possible special effect that you can think of could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And that's really one of the things that the movie I think is really well known for. It's just its practical effects and the optical effects that were done.
It's beautiful. The special
Yeah.
effects in this movie are amazing. Actually,
yeah.
okay, so we started this with what movie would you say this is somewhat like?
Mhm.
And I want to say it because I'm pretty sure this is the one you would pick too. This is like Evil Dead 2 taken to 11.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, I actually I feel like that comparison is probably the one that's by far the closest. Even though
Yeah.
it's not entirely correct, it's very close.
It's weirder, but
Yeah, no, it's definitely weirder. No doubt about it.
the core concept of Nightmare House comes to life and murders well, in this case a group of people.
Mhm.
That is the same from between these two. We even have a sort of Ash-like character in this too.
Yeah, that really blew my mind when I made that connection.
She's the absolute. Yeah, I was like, this is Ash.
Yeah. Can we talk
She is
about
my
the
favorite character.
just as a brief aside, and everything about this review is an aside because there's
no
nowhere
way
to start with this.
There's no through line with
there's
this
no
movie.
through line with this movie. Can we talk about the music a little bit because the
Yes,
music in this is so strange.
It's so weird.
So like
There's like a leitmotif that runs through the movie too, but
it's a very nostalgic and sentimental sounding.
It's so happy.
Piece.
It's not a like Evil Dead 2 is a great comparison because this isn't a scary movie. It's a very funny movie ultimately. And it's like it's a nostalgic happy piece, and it's not trying to put you into a like most of the time it's not pushing for you to be in a creeped out mood. It's like a very lighthearted like soundtrack as they're being like murdered by the house.
Yeah.
Or like I don't want to spoil all of it because there's some really like great kills in this movie that are worth seeing for yourself.
Well, I think the thing that really like drives home what makes the movie so unsettling, and I do think the movie is very unsettling.
Yeah.
It's obviously very funny, and it's very intentionally trying to be stupid and funny at a lot of points. But I think ultimately the effect of the movie is sort of more unnerving than something like even Evil Dead 2 because
there's
I think
an undercurrent that's much scarier than
the thing that is so unsettling to me about it is right from the get-go the movie sets itself up as this very strange perfect ideal representation of life with all these insanely optimistic characters. Like it's almost like the beginning of Mulholland Drive a little bit where it's like, you know how in that movie where the main character like she steps off the airplane to LA and she's like looking around and
it's the
like,
dream. Yeah, like the first half of Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, exactly. And like that and you know, right there there's a few like strange unsettling moments like with the old people in the car like after she leaves, just as a specific example. But like this is a great example of a similar thing where it's like every outside scene is shot during like the height of golden hour. And like the lighting is so dreamlike and magical, and like every character, like the introduction of the stepmom character, she just like kind of floats into frame.
Oh yeah, she
smiling.
Actually like slides into frame.
It's with this like very sentimental music, and then it almost feels like you're watching like Blue's Clues or something in the first
there's so
30
many
minutes.
like odd like not even. It's not fair to even say like fake looking because they're kids sets, like you're saying. It's literally like a cardboard rainbow that they look out the window at.
Yes,
it's something. I don't know.
And the
there's
thing is, like
cartoon violence in it, where like the teacher falls down the stairs and into a bucket and slides around it's like
a stop motion. Yeah, it's like a stop motion effect, and it's like out of nowhere. And not in the music in that scene too is like this weird '60s hippie song.
It almost it. But the thing is, like the way this movie is. Like, I know it's all practical effects, but in a way it feels timeless because it's so over-the-top, goofy, and cartoony. It doesn't feel aged all that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, you can see, like, the blue screen artifacts and stuff.
Yeah,
right? Like,
but,
you can tell,
in a way,
I don't know. It contributes to the vibe. Like I feel
Yeah,
like even
it
back
doesn't. It
then,
doesn't. Okay, so it's obviously aged. It doesn't look like modern effects, but it doesn't look like they were limited by
no,
like all that much. It
no,
looks
no.
like they got what they wanted.
Yeah, no, I think there was clearly an attempt at doing a particular kind of thing with these effects that to this day holds up. Like you wouldn't want to
Yeah,
see this movie with like better green
it
screen
wouldn't work.
effects or digital
It,
effects, you know?
like a real dancing skeleton would not have the same effect.
No, yeah, absolutely
It's
not.
so much
Yeah.
better with that like in the background of so many shots like after a certain point that skeleton's dancing in the background of every single shot up in that attic area. I'm sorry, it's too much.
Yeah,
This
it
is
really
a
is.
wonderful movie.
It really is overwhelming. Like while I was watching this, I was just thinking, how are we going to talk about this? I have
don't
no
know.
idea where to start. Like there's
It's
just
very
so
difficult.
much stuff.
It as far as I don't know how much we want to dig into the characters themselves, but they're not like they don't feel they're idealized, but they don't feel one-dimensional either.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not fleshed out. It's ultimately a slasher movie,
Right.
but they also don't feel like cardboard cutouts either. They feel like they've had a real history, and it's kind of incredible because apparently they weren't, for the most part, professional actresses. Like
Yeah, I read that.
and they actually weren't even that good on set until they started playing the musical score as they were acting.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it actually was like the music played into the performances. I don't know if it's actually the same recording for like if they overdubbed some of the line. I guess they probably didn't, because how would you get that same performance after the fact? So technically it's kind of like it's not diegetic, but some of it is.
Well, some of it definitely is. Like the main theme is played by the character Melody, like multiple times in the movie
on the piano,
which
several
doesn't end
times
too
over.
well for her.
Yeah, I just thought of that. Oh man.
So that there is like a sense of some of it being diegetic. The line is blurred. You know?
There's a point at which, oh man, I don't want to just keep like it's hard to like not flow into other parts of this movie when you're just talking about it, but
I know
like,
everything's connected.
Oh man, the way this movie is edited and the way the story flows into itself is like a lucid dream. It's something else. Like I can't actually remember the point at which the ant just disappeared. Like I don't know exactly when that happened, except I remember her crawling in the rafters at one point, and then I think she showed up once or twice after. It's utterly bizarre. This is like it's a ride. It's impossible.
It's a ride.
It's very hard to like. I can highly recommend this. It's something you gotta check.
I mean, ultimately, like I think this is a great example of one of those movies where like I think this is something that like David Lynch has brought up before, where it's like he doesn't want to talk about his movies because if you could sum up what the movie is with words, then there'd be no point to make the movie.
I had a conversation about how annoyed with a friend who was super annoyed that Lynch would always be very curt and abrupt and rude about answering questions about his movies, and I was like, man, they're there. You can watch them.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know what the deal is with that movie, everything is right there on the screen.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He
and
made
come
the movie.
To
yeah, he doesn't want to go back. You know? It's not because if you go and explain everything, it's not as fun. You don't want to have somebody come in and that's not an excuse for not trying to talk about parts of movies that we've watched on this show. But you don't want somebody with that authority status going in and describing everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like a movie like this is primarily just an audio-visual experience. Yeah. It's 90 minutes of a very strange vibe that is created by just the particular images that you're seeing, the way they're edited together, and the music that is used, the audio, it's all part of an experience that you have within yourself while you're watching it.
Yes.
It's not something that you could really describe with words and do it any
Well,
justice whatsoever.
It's like trying to describe a dream or or like a drug trip or something.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody likes hearing other people describe their dreams because it makes no sense to other people. It always comes off as like very confusing.
You can't.
Or, like it only makes sense to the person that saw it.
It's
right?
funny, and I guess that's a very big pro in the favor of this movie, because you couldn't get this experience just having a rote description of the plot. Like you would not think this movie is as nearly as weird as it is, even just reading about the screen effects and the editing. That's why it's a little bit difficult to be in our position at the moment, I suppose.
No, for sure. But I hope that in listening to us talk about this, you've at least gotten the sense that this is something that it is interesting to watch, if nothing else. I don't know if it's for everybody. I'm not sure that everybody will really get it.
It's heavily 70s. Very, very 70s.
But I don't really know that there's anything in particular to get either. It's just watch it and let it happen. And then whatever experience you take away from it, that's correct.
Hopefully it's a fun time. I think it's a fun
Hopefully it's a fun time. Yeah. I think that's ultimately the movie is supposed to be a good time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And it without a doubt is a good time. Well, okay, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Lopes on Movies. I hope you had a good time listening to us talk about this this movie.
Attempting to.
Next week, we'll be back with some more classic film discussion. I saw a lot of movies over the past few weeks, so there's quite a few potential options. I actually watched like 3 Jimmy Stewart movies last week. So maybe we'll do a Jimmy Stewart special.
I don't know if I'm going to be on for that one.
On Lopes on Movies. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye.